You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
It's another Monday in America, which means we have to have a toast. Len, did you bring a toast mug? He's got the dog mug. That's a cool mug.
That's my pup.
Your gigantic pup. How tall is that dog?
It's backwards.
Zeppelin's dad.
Yep. Yeah, that pup's very tall. You know what? I don't know how he can rest his chin on our kitchen countertop.
Yeah, I would tell you, Doug, that Zeppelin is well named. well named.
Does he crash and burn a lot?
Yeah, they were going to go with no. They were going to too soon. They were going to go with F-150, but then they're like, that's not big enough. We need something bigger.
When you see Zeppelin poop, do you say, "Oh, the humanity"?
I hate to interrupt that by saluting our troops, but if you guys don't mind, I'd like to say that while we're talking poop, there are people who protected us so we could spend time talking poop. So on behalf of the men and women making podcast in Mom's Basement and the men and women out there stacking Benjamins, thanks to our service members.
Cheers.
Let's go stack some Benjamins together, shall we?
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and on today's show, the great Suze Orman has changed her... Wait, what? She changed her mind? That's incredible! We're going to chat about exactly what the queen of personal finance thinks today and what that might mean for your own money. But that's not all. I'll also share a TikTok minute about retirement that you won't want to miss. And of course, I'll also deal you in on some spine-tingling money trivia. And now, 3 guys who make you tingle every time they say the words compounding interest. It's Joe, OG, and Len Penzo.
What? Hey, stackers. In the guest host seat today, Mr. Len Penzo's here. How are you, my friend?
We changed the locks.
I'm doing great. The question is, how are you doing there, Joe?
Now that you're here, I'm doing so much better.
Yeah, but you know why I asked that? Because this is recording day. You know what? It's your birthday, my friend. Happy birthday to you.
It is a day where we celebrate another trip around the sun.
I love it.
Is that the creaking sound I've been hearing this whole time?
You know how I remember, I remember your birthday every year because mine's
because
the
of
next
yours.
day. Mine's
because yours
tomorrow.
is coming up tomorrow.
Mine's tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, we're getting older, obviously, which is never fun. But there are some good things to it, right? You get older, you get wise, right? And that wisdom that I've attained now, I finally learned how to have a smoking hot body in an old age. Finally,
cool.
I finally discovered the secret.
And?
Get cremated.
And welcome back to Len Penzo, to the Len Show.
You miss me? That quality humor?
I don't know. OG, how are you, man?
I mean, I'm just sitting here enjoying being young. You guys all talking about being old and getting older. And Doug's like the middle child. That's what Doug's. I'm like the one that everybody likes because he's like the young one. I'm the surprise baby in this group.
The one where the parents have already resigned themselves to the fact that they've given up.
Yes,
They're done.
absolutely. Can I watch YouTube until 2 a.m? Absolutely. We don't
Sure.
care.
Whatever.
We're going to bed.
Coming. Suze Orman has changed her mind about something important about retirement. We'll find out what that is later on in the show. Len, this particular TikTok minute that we have today, I really want to get your take. And also, OG, I want to get your take because
Cool.
it'll be interesting to have you hear what this gentleman says about retirement. And as a guy who now has been officially retired, but not from, of course, the blog or writing, but from other endeavors, Mr. Penzo, this guy also has been retired a couple of years and give some insight there. And for people that aren't retired yet, people planning retirement, this is your retirement planning episode. So sit back, relax, grab a sheet of paper, however you take notes, because I think we got a lot on the agenda today. We have a couple of sponsors who help us keep on keeping on. We're going to hear from them. And then OG, Len, Doug, and I, we're going to dive into Suze Orman changing her mind. You may not know that when we started Stacking Benjamins, it was a blog. And even then, just the startup cost, I remember thinking, is this the right thing? And what if I write things and nobody comes, right? Well, luckily, that didn't end up happening. But starting something new isn't just hard. It's terrifying. There's so much work. You're not sure whether it's going to work out. You're not sure if anybody's going to read it. And then we change it to a podcast. Is anybody actually going to listen, right? What if nobody wants all the stuff that we have? Well, had I used Shopify, it would have been even easier because with their expertise, their helpful tools, and their easy to use platform, that's something that would have made Stacking Benjamins more effective much, much more quickly. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Names you've heard of like Heinz and Mattel, Shopify, Gymshark, Aviator Nation, Allbirds, also all Shopify. Get started with your own design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store that matches your brand style. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. And did I mention that iconic purple Shop Pay button? It's used by millions of businesses around the world. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. It also helps boost conversions, meaning less carts going abandoned and more sales for you. So you're stacking Benjamins much more quickly. Time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/SB. Go to shopify.com/SB. That's shopify.com/SB.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Hello, darlings. And now, it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamins headlines.
Wanted to get your take on this headline, guys, because when I see that one of the biggest names in personal finance changes her mind about something, of course, that is headline worthy. Mark Guberti wrote this at money.com. He writes, Suze Orman has regularly shared tough love financial advice. Yelling at people is tough love. Anyway, the focus is on avoiding debt, spending less than you earn, and working until you turn 70. She's held firm to much of the financial advice that propelled her career in the 90s, but she seems to have softened her stance on this need to work until 70. So she has, number one, said working till 70 might not be great anymore. She previously advocated for not retiring before 70 so you could maximize Social Security because you get the extra income that allows your savings to grow and you don't have to tap retirement accounts. And of course, you're delaying Social Security. It's interesting, OG, I want to start with you because we did this headline a few weeks ago that people tend to think of retiring and taking Social Security in the same breath. Like I do the two things concurrently, right? Mm-hmm. So she's saying, maybe I don't work till 70 and not as important as I used to think it was.
To be clear, how old is Suze now? Like when she was saying it 20 years ago, she's like, yeah, you can work till 70. And now she's like, what, closing in on 70? And
She's
like,
74 now.
Yeah. She's like, this sucks. Like working to 70 was awful.
I held out as long as I could.
Right. You see these people that are experts and then they get to that age and they're like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, I mean, the math isn't wrong, right? Like the impact of working an extra year isn't just working an extra year. It's another year of saving. It's another year of compounding the money that you have saved. And it's a year fewer of withdrawing from your portfolio. So it's like a double, triple, quadruple whammy of if you can have one more year, that has a pretty profound impact. And you could argue this all the way till, age 100, right? It's like, you don't need as much money to retire if you work till you're 87. It's like, well, true. Absolutely. Also, you're working till you're 87. My grandfather worked till he was 92. He was a business owner, and work for him wasn't, he wasn't
strenuous,
hanging on a roof, putting out shingles. He was, he owned a business, but his work day was schmoozing with customers. It wasn't, lifting heavy boxes of paper like it used to be. The definition of work, I think, is also kind of critical here. And I think a lot of people will think like work, get up, get dressed, go to the job, get home at 5 o'clock, have supper with the family type of thing. And Len's a great example of this. Len, you're retired from your corporate job, but I bet that you still would say that you do some work, right? You still have your writing and occasional media appearances on the Stacking Benjamin show that you have to contend
Very
with.
lucrative.
Fully paid, of course, in IOUs, mind you, but they're redeemable in the future. You're going to want to hang on to these. These are going to be
someday,
valuable.
Len.
Someday.
One of these days.
We pay in Stacking Benjamin's coin. Someday you're going to be happy you've got these.
Yeah, she now says that you don't need to work until 70. If you have savings and income sources, go ahead and tap those early, which is something she used to say, don't do.
As long as you got $5 million, you're good.
Yeah, right.
Tap that asset.
401ks, IRA, she calls it a bridge strategy so that you can still do the thing that she recommends and OG that you recommend, which is still hold off on tapping that Social Security until later. But I'm curious, Len, you've seen the other side of this too, right? I mean, nobody knows how long they're going to live. What's your plan for Social Security? Are you going to use this wait strategy like OG talks about? Or when you get to 62, man, are you going to crank it up?
Well, first thing I'm going to say is it's always crazy when somebody gives something with retirement and Social Security a one-size-fits-all answer. We're all different. We all have different goals and financial situations. So I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer, first off. For me, first thing I will say is when you're doing your retirement goals and you're younger and you're doing your retirement planning, try not to include Social Security at all as part of your retirement income. Set your goal based without using that number, because if you can hit that number, anything you earn in Social Security, whether you take it early or late, will be bonus. It's just gravy. And it makes your life a lot easier for hitting that. I call it a stretch goal. I am holding off until 70.
Okay.
I'm just going to wait. I'm going to maximize it, get as big a number as I can get. And that's because when I retired, I had hit my goal. I'd hit my retirement savings goal. And I have the ability to do that. So why not? Why not wait? I know a lot of people will say, well, take the money early, take it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to wait. I want that bigger number. I'm afraid I'd just like to have the bigger number for Social Security when we get there.
There's a big time TikToker on the other side, Len, who says the math is the math, but listen, you don't know how long you're going to be here. So take it as soon as you can. Just realize it's going to be less and just put that money in your pocket right now.
Yeah, well, so we've all run the numbers. If I wait to 70, my payback period is 14 and a half years. I would have to live 14 and a half years if I start taking that money at 70 to get everything I would have got if I started taking the money at 62, basically.
You're betting on living to 85.
I'm betting on living to 80. And if I don't, well, I've lost. I made the wrong decision. But what if I live to 90? Or what if I live to, then I'm better off, right?
Well, the other side of it, Len, that I think is also important on the Social Security side is for most people, it's not just about you, because in a lot of families, there's two people, a couple, and maybe your spouse doesn't have as high earnings as you. And so their Social Security benefits a little bit less. Whoever dies first gets the bigger number. So if you predecease your spouse and she had a lower income history than you throughout your lifetime, she'll also get to keep that higher number.
Correct.
So even if you do kick off at 83 and people go, oh, see, it didn't work out. It's like, well, but now my wife gets this higher number that she would have got a lower number on. So that's a little bit of a factor.
That's
also
extremely important if your wife is, for example, a stay-at-home mom who hasn't been building up those Social Security dollars,
credits,
your credits. So that really helps somebody like the honeybee for my wife, who she's going to be entitled to half of what I'm earning, what I eventually claim. So yes, that is a fantastic point. I'll bring one other point up is where you don't know. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer way back in, I think it was 2004, 2003. Right around that time was the time she had to make her decision. Am I going to take Social Security or am I going to try and continue working to 70? And she decided, well, I'm going to try and work, but I'm going to take Social Security now because I have stage 4 cancer. Well, guess what? She lived another 16 years beyond, 17 years beyond that. There was a point there near the end. It was like, well, you could have waited to 70, but you don't know. It's just, there's just so many unknowns out there that it's tough.
Yeah, I don't think you're unhappy in that situation.
No, you're not.
I don't think you're sitting back going, if only I died.
Exactly. But it's just sometimes you think you're making the right decision and it ends up being hindsight's 20/20, as they say.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know the plan. I mean, if the plan was right, which is why, OG, you talk so often about, we solve for optimization, but we should be solving for flexibility. We should give ourselves the ability to roll with the punches more. Suze has 3 things that they talk about in this piece, her, quote, new retirement rules. I don't know that any of these are new, but I think it's a fun headline, and I think we can focus on these 3 things. The first one is, number 1, focus on retirement readiness. She says you should stress test your retirement plan so you know that you're financially ready to retire. So, Len, you think about stress testing, because as an engineer, you would stress test stuff. How do you think about stress testing your financial plan before you actually submit your paperwork to retire?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. Try and see what you can get away with without the Social Security on your plan.
So that's a stress test right there by saying, hey, can I do it without Social Security is a stress test.
That's the ultimate stress test. Yeah. And see how long you can hold out without Social Security. I saw a blogger, I was reading a piece. He retired early. I went back and I was looking at one of his old posts from 2016, 2017, and he had been planning for blogging income of 40 to 50,000 a year starting current from 2016 on. Well, we all know how us bloggers know that things have changed from the blogging
at least 10x
world.
that, right, Len?
Yeah, right.
Minus 10x.
Those days are gone. And he was and I read a current article from him where he's saying his blog income now, this is 2025, had dropped to under $3,000 a year. So in 2016, he was planning on $40,000 of income today. And he's not getting that. He's getting, 5% of that. When you're doing that stress testing, it's very important that those kind of stresses, those tests kind of let you know you should be doing that. It's like, well, what if I don't have this income? What if I don't have that income? And try that. Again, you don't know. There's no sure things. So the stress tests are very important.
Yeah, I've made it no secret that I love doing this. I can't imagine what I'd do. So I'm going to continue doing this, but there's no Stacking Benjamin's income in the financial plan. I mean, looking at where we're at right now, OG, if I could 10x this, I still got big healthy zero.
It's still zero. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
The way that I think about this is in terms of retirement income or cash flow or whatever you want to say is you want to establish some sort of upper bound limit and some lower bound limit of where do I have to make some changes. A lot of times people are familiar with this concept of Monte Carlo simulation. Like, oh, I did a Monte Carlo and I got an 80%. That means I'm 80% successful. No, that's not what that means. What Monte Carlo means with 80% is that in 800 of the 1,000 times, you didn't have to make any changes to your plan based on what you said. The other 20 don't mean you're at zero. It means, hey, I'm going to have to make a change. Well, like Len's been saying this whole time, life is a series of changes, whether it's a healthcare issue, whether it's a really cool opportunity, whether it's, you need to move because of family or you choose to be, there's all sorts of things that can happen in your life, whether it's before or during or throughout retirement that are going to make changes to your plan. And the idea is, where can I make these changes without affecting the plan? And when do I have to reevaluate what I'm doing? And so if you have an idea of like, take this income, for example, of 40K for the blogger, it's like, okay, if I've got this 40K, I've got my assets, I got this 40K, life is good. If my income drops to 10, I need to make a change to the plan. Anything between 10 and 40, like I can run the plan, assuming that everything else goes the way that I project. The same thing also happens on the upside. We spend a lot of time thinking about the downside. The last 10 years of upside in terms of the stock market have also changed people's plans. I think for the better in the sense of net worth and assets, but for the worse in terms of outcomes. When you look at people who 10 years ago retired and said, I expect to get 7% in my portfolio. Meanwhile, they've been averaging 14 or 15, yet they're still living their life like 7%. And so now they have so much excess in their plan. They haven't considered it. They haven't considered what to do about it, and haven't considered like all the opportunity that they're leaving on the table that the last 10 years from 60 to 70, let's say, where I could have done the cruise, or I could have helped my, church with the thing that we were trying to raise money for, or whatever, because it's like, well, no, here's the plan. The plan says I take 4%. It's like, well, yeah, it says 4%, but if you're slaying it because you make extra blog income, or because, your portfolio did better than you think, or because you spent less than you imagined, like, what are we doing? Like, just accumulating money for the sake of accumulating it? Like, that's fun too, but let's party a little.
Well, if there's more that people want to do, I don't know that just going out and blowing cash is an
I'm not
exciting
saying
thing.
blowing it. I'm saying like, the person who goes, I can't take my kids to Disney.
Yeah,
It's too much money.
the bucket list stuff that goes by the wayside because you don't think you can afford it.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I die at 87 with $7 million in the bank. And it's like, Grandpa was a, it's like could have done this stuff.
The kids appreciate it.
Talking about.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because on the very least, if you're not going to spend it, celebrating some of that wealth while you're alive. I remember telling my clients to give it away while you're alive, so you can see people enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Why wait until you're gone? When
I had a buddy at work, his father-in-law was, he's in his mid 80s, and he took their extended family, a whole bunch. He rented this giant mansion up on Maui, I think it was, right on the ocean. Just this spectacular home. And I think he spent like $45,000 for a couple weeks, and he brought his whole family over.
Wow.
And let them enjoy it. I mean, that's one way to do it.
Yeah. With $2 million in your brokerage account, that's 1 year of dividend payments.
Right. Yeah. And when you're in your mid 80s, it's like, you know what? Yeah.
It's a lot of money in the absolute. I think everybody here would go, okay, 40 grand for a vacation is just a crap
and
load
it's
of
memories
cash.
too. He's creating memories for the rest of the family, for himself. So it's great.
Joe looks puzzled, like, no, it just sounds like a vacation.
I know. What, 40 grand. Like, have you guys ever done the Danube cruise? What are you talking about?
Try again. Pick a different number, OG.
The Christmas market's backed up against a trip to Greece? I mean, yeah, if you're just counting airfare, it's a lot.
You need an entry-level vacation, I guess.
Do you know how much that Glühwein you can drink with 40 grand? That's incredible. The other things I think that when we talk about stress testing, OG, I think one that nobody would have thought of 3 years ago, 4 years ago, was inflation, right? And now I think stress testing, what if inflation's 5? What if inflation goes up? Stress test that. Stress test lower returns on your portfolio. What if I not only don't get 14, what if I get 6 instead of 7?
All of those things are stuff that you have to play with a little bit. The downside of this is you could run into a little bit of analysis paralysis, a little bit here of, I've done all these stress tests and I'm, it's like if I toggle all these buttons on, my retirement tanks. It's like, well, but what's the likelihood of all of those things happening all at the same time?
Right.
And so you have to be a little careful and a little too sky is falling. And I don't put a lot of energy into the analysts say that the next 10 years of market returns are going to be less than the average market returns. Like, well, I mean, maybe it is, or maybe it's not, but we're kind of butting up against about 100 years worth of bunch of crazy stuff that's happened in this world. And we got a lot of data about what happens to stocks over that period of time. So I feel pretty good with forecasting the next 100 years based on the last 100. The sequence of that could matter, but if you have enough margin, or if you have enough safety and you have some flexibility built in your plan, you should be okay.
That's why it's important when you're doing these stress tests, put the stresses in, and the good things too, in buckets: high risk, low risk, medium risk. And that kind of helps you decide, well, yeah, this stress here is very expensive, but or I should say probability, high probability,
low probability, but high
medium
cost,
probability.
basically.
Yeah, not risk. But that will help you say, well, yeah, that's going to be expensive, but the probability of that happening is very low, so you can kind of discount it. So do that for both your good things in retirement that could happen and the bad things, and makes your job a little easier.
The second thing on this list is having liquidity. And I find this an interesting, quote, new retirement piece, OG, because I don't know, we've been beating this drum for a long time. There's this emphasis that you have access to cash, and especially if you're going to retire early, not having all these hoops you have to jump through to get at your money that's in these over-optimized places, don't have the tail wag the dog.
If your investments are in real illiquid things, and I mean like property, private equity, stuff that have literally you can't withdraw the money, right? You call the fund manager and you go, I need 10,000. They say you cannot have it today. Like that's illiquid. But everything else, your regular brokerage account, your Roth IRA, your 401k, assuming it's invested in ETFs, mutual funds, whatever, stock, that's 100% liquid. So I don't buy this liquidity thing. She probably means cash.
She does. She actually specifically means cash.
Yeah. I think you have to layer out like your cash flow needs, because getting to retirement and saying like all of a sudden, well, now I need to have 5 years worth of cash on hand. It's like, well, why? Like a year? Sure. 2 years. Okay, fine. Do you need 10? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like there's a balancing act of return. You have to just think about like these different buckets of, Len was talking about different buckets of probability and magnitude of outcome. The same thing is true with your money. It's like, okay, I need some money that I can pay the bills with tomorrow. And I need some money for the expenses that I have coming around the corner. But you can play that game forever, right? You say, well, what about my property taxes that are due in 2045? Shouldn't I have that set aside? It's like, yeah. Or you could just have a third of it set aside and keep it in your brokerage account and it'll double twice and you'll be fine. You can't always have it sitting in cash because then you run into some efficiency things. So be careful with the liquidity trap of like, I have to be liquid. And I also don't buy this. I retire early. I can't get to my money. Yes, you can. You just have to be retired. You just can't get to your retirement money.
How many things do you need where you need a huge sum of money within 2 days? How often is that? It's almost never.
I would say almost never, right? Yeah. Like, well, what if the roof blows off? Okay. The roofer guy doesn't show up with a bucket and go like, fill this bucket up with cash, then I'll fix your roof. They do it and send you an invoice, right? I mean,
sure. Like, I'm still going to play the other side of this though, OG, which is that I prefer to just build the brokerage account on the side than spend my days worrying about the mega backdoor Roth IRA to every degree that I can possibly do that, making sure that my tax shelter optimization, the big financial geek argument right now that is now turning around going, well, I don't think the Roth IRA is the way to go. It's the pre-tax that you want. Like, have some of each.
Well, no, 100%. That's what I mean. Like if you get to retirement and you have, you just look at it like in an obscene way, right? If all you had was pre-tax 401k money and you were 40 years old and you had 50 million in the bank, 50 million in your 401k, it's all pre-tax. Can you retire? Can you legally retire? Is it liquid? Of course it is. Like there's 150,000 ways to get money out of that account. It's not overly complicated. And I think that supports your point, Joe, is you don't have to be so religious about like exactly every single penny has to be exactly right, because money is money, right? If you have enough, you're good.
I'll give one real quick story of I had to withdraw money from an IRA for the first time, one of my IRAs, January, start of the year. So on January 2nd, I put in the request to withdraw an amount of cash and put it into our bank. Well, I had to set up the transfer mechanism. Long story short, what I thought was going to take 5 days, there was problems between the IRA custodian and my bank. I wasn't able to access that money until the very end of January. That's a one-time issue, and it took almost 30 days, but that's the worst it would ever be.
Well, and what's interesting about that too, Len, was that was probably because you hadn't set that up yet.
That's correct. Yeah. Which was a mistake on my part. I should have set that up a long time ago, not right before I needed the money.
But still, now that you got that bump smoothed out, the next time you press a button and boom.
Correct.
Yeah. And did you run your checking account to exactly zero on January 3rd? Were you stressed about it? No.
No.
Did you still have an Amex card that said, oh yeah, you just charge, just pay us in February. It's cool. And I think what you're saying is the worst case scenario was it took me almost 30 days.
Correct.
And it was still nothing.
And it'll never happen again. That's a lesson learned on my part.
The third in this quote, new retirement, which is, as we're discussing, not so new, but incredibly relevant. I want to pause and wait on until after Doug's trivia for the second half of the show. I think we can really talk about this.
Such a tease.
It also ties into our TikTok minute this week. But first, speaking of tie in, Doug's going to tie in some financial trivia to today's show.
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and by this point in our friendship, you probably know what a huge reader I am. In fact, I just finished a scientific book about anti-gravity. I couldn't put it down. That was for you, Len. Well, I bring it up only because on today's date, way back in 1455, Johannes Gutenberg listened to his mother, finally got off his lazy butt, and printed a book. Oh, that's not how it happened? It was actually a big deal. Huh. I mean, what makes history these days, am I right? Anywho, here's today's question. This Gutenberg dude was backed by investors to crank out copies of what book? I'll be back right after I go ask Joe's mom if I can read a different book. This anti-gravity book doesn't have any pictures in it. Boring.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
K-pop Demon Hunters Haja Boys Breakfast Meal and Huntrix Meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Hey there, Stackers. I'm big time reader and guy still waiting, like you, for the next Game of Thrones tome, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. Okay, let's set the record straight. I heard a few of you snicker when I said I was a big reader. At first, it's not nice. But also, B, I'm 100% the best reader you've ever met. Though, it is true that my favorite book is the checkbook because, man, is it fun to turn words into cash. Am I right? On today's date, way back during some other era, a guy named Gutenberg bragged that he could print out some books making movable type. But what book was it? Gutenberg was backed by investors who really wanted to make sure they got a decent ROI, and they insisted he print the most read book. So he cranked him out to make sure his checkbook was full. Gutenberg's book was the Bible. And now, two guys who are a revelation for your money. It's Joe and OG. And oh yeah, Len's here too.
Guys, that surprised me when I found out that Gutenberg's printing out the Bible Not because of religious affiliation, but because of the fact that these investors are breathing down my neck, and I got to make sure we sell a few copies.
It's a story as old as time.
It is a story as old as time. What's going on behind the scenes? Let's do a TikTok minute. This TikTok minute ties into exactly what we're talking about. This was sent in to us by a stacker named Bill. And by the way, the TikToker's name is also Bill. So Bill, thank you for this. And I'm assuming this isn't Bill who sent it in. Len, I've been saving this for the last couple of weeks because we knew you were coming on. And it really goes with Susie's third point here, but also the fact that you're a new retiree and, well, this TikToker Bill's a new retiree. Let's listen to what Bill thinks about his first couple of years of retirement.
If you've been watching my videos from the beginning of my retirement, you've seen me kind of struggle with like how I perceive the value of my time in retirement. And it started with I need to be doing meaningful, valuable things with my time. And then I got past that and I was like, it doesn't matter how I spend my time, but I want to spend it. I don't want to save it. I don't want to maximize it. I want to spend my time. And recently it occurred to me, I was trying to figure out like, why is it that I don't care if I spend 2 hours changing my oil? Like, do I think my time's worthless? And I realized I want to say that I really see my time more as priceless, but that's kind of a cheesy way to look at it. But it's the closest I can come because if someone offered me, some amount of money for my time, I wouldn't take it unless it was something that I already would be doing for fun. So I've realized that I can't put a value on my time.
I love this idea. He continues for another couple minutes, but it really is on the same basic idea, Len, that once he got to retirement, well, you heard him. What do you think about what he's saying about the value of his time? Did you see a change in the way that you see time the first couple of years of retirement?
Oh, well, it's just as you get older, you look at time differently. It's when you're younger, you have all the time in the world. You get older, you have a diminishing number of years left, and that becomes more obvious the older you get. And so time is, he might say it's cheesy, but it's true. You realize more and more that time is priceless, and it's the most precious thing you do have.
But he also doesn't want to maximize it.
I don't worry about it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to maximize it, though. I found that interesting because when you say that this time is priceless and I don't have that much left, people that are younger than you listening might go, well, wait a minute, then you got to maximize, Len, every minute then, don't you?
Well, no, you know what? There's leisure and just existing has its value too, hanging around and doing whatever you're doing. I know time is priceless for me, how I look at it, but I do what I want to do. I don't look at it like, oh, I've got to do this or I've got to maximize every minute. No, I don't look at it that way. I don't know. It's weird. You just look at it and I don't want to waste time. But how do you wait? What is wasting time? The only wasting time to me is just doing things you don't want to do. You're stuck doing things you don't want to do. And for me, it was working at my corporate job after a while. To me, that was wasting time. That to me was important to not do. But how I fill that time, I don't worry about.
He goes in later in this video to talking about, his earlier thing about changing the oil. And he's like, other people change my oil wrong. I enjoy changing my oil. I think it's great. And I don't want it redone. And so for me, that's a fun use of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To me, it's more important doing things. Don't get stuck doing things you don't want to do, especially as you get older, because then you are wasting those precious minutes. But as to how to properly fill it, oil change or whatever, that's great.
There's this concept, though, that he struggled with it, right? For the first couple of years, I know researcher Ken Dykewald talks a lot about this. It's about, for the average person, about 18 months into your retirement, sometimes up to 3 years later, you suffer this real depression. Like, is this it? There's this euphoria initially, and then there's this existential crisis. Have you found, whether it's existential crisis or not, but this idea that Bill in the video talks about of struggling with, quote, best use of time?
No. You know what? One of the things I did before I retired was figuring out, do I have enough things in my life that will keep my time occupied, will keep me occupied doing things? I've got so many things I want to do, and I've been trying to one of the things I've been really working on lately is one of my goals is to learn a new language or get better at a language. So I've been working very hard on my Spanish the last 4 or 5 months. So I have so many things, my model railroad, my learning this language. I've got projects that I constantly do. My life is so full of things. I don't worry about that at all. It's just, there's so much to do, So, but I know people who retire and then they come back to work in 6 months because they're bored to tears.
Well, and I wonder, OG, if it truly is that they're bored or that they just haven't created a new identity like Len has. I was reading a Wall Street Journal column last week where this gentleman used to work at the Journal, and he called the lack of work, quote, a vacuum. He goes, there was this whole place where my identity used to be, and now there's a vacuum in that spot, which I think, OG, can really hit some people pretty hard in retirement.
I mean, if you have the opportunity to do play testing any of this, like Len was talking about, whether it's like you can take a period of time, if you have the 2-week vacation, and say like, all right, we're going to treat this like it's retirement time. Like what's going to happen? If you have the opportunity to do a sabbatical, model out what your day is going to look like, because you guys have all seen No Country for Old Men movie.
Yeah.
The very end of the movie, he is retiring. This was his, he's just worn out, right? And he's sitting at home. It's the last scene of the whole movie. He's sitting at home and he's eating breakfast. His wife's like, so what are you going to do today? He's like, well, I thought I might do this. She goes, okay, well, I've got to do this. He goes, well, maybe I'll stay and hang out with you. And she just kind of snickers and she's like, just because you're retired doesn't mean I am. Like, I got stuff to do still. I think, especially if you're in a relationship and you've got somebody else around, that may be a new thing, right? Like you just being around is like a whole new, like, what are you doing? Like, don't you have a place to go? Why are you here right now? It's lunchtime. This is when I do my thing. Like you've had 30 years of this rhythm and now you're going to stop getting up at 6 a.m. and now start getting up at 8. And you're going to have lunch at home instead of at the office. And, it's like this whole new thing that you have to get used to. So you should expect, I think, just like the author in the Wall Street Journal article, I read the same thing. You should expect it to be chaos for a while. I mean, you go through those different things. We're tiptoeing our feet into, here's what it's like to have only 2 kids at home instead of 3. And then when Alex comes home from college, it's like, why is it so loud here? What is happening? Where'd all our food go? Like, we just bought milk, for God's sake. How is it gone? And it's like, we have another adult at home, and then he goes away, and it's like, oh, it's quiet.
Oh, geez, like, where'd all my Woodford go?
That's the one thing about this generation. They are not drinkers.
They don't drink.
Not doing it.
My middle kid asked me if beer had carbonation in it.
That's true.
Oh, really?
I didn't know if that was like he was just putting me on.
Yeah.
Like, this will really fool Dad.
Dad, does beer,
is it bubbly?
Huh?
But he was just like, it does? Ugh, I'll never drink that.
I remember coming home from college, OG, and having a beer with my dad, and it was a hot day. I was home just from the Citadel for the summer. And I remember I just pounded that beer in front of my dad at 18.
It's like National Lampoon's Vacation, where he like has the beer in the
Rusty
in the desert. Rusty like pulls it back, and he's like,
yes, it was one of those moments that I remember my dad looking at me the way Chevy Chase looked at Rusty on that video. Like, what?
Well done, sir. Well done.
Oh, no. Was not at all well done.
No,
it was like,
it wasn't a proud dad moment.
It was not a proud dad moment. It was like, what the hell is he doing in college moment?
It was the Modern Family taking the daughter out for her 21st birthday, and they get a shot of tequila, and they're like, hey, happy birthday. She like throws it back, and everybody looks at her, and she goes, oh, it burns.
Doug, did you have a comment on this?
Yeah, I struggle with this whole, we've been talking about this for years, and it hasn't sat well with me. This whole figure out what your purpose is before you retire. You have to retire to something. Don't run away from something. And I think for me, it comes down to this, and I hate to get too Hallmark Cardi, but if you aren't happy with what you have, you're not going to be happy with what you get. So if you're a person who is needing your current work to fulfill some purpose or hole in your life, you better figure out some other major thing to be your raison d'etre when you retire.
English, please.
But man, that is, and I've been thinking long and hard about when do I get to use that one French phrase I know besides soup du jour.
It's the soup of the day.
But
delicious.
Holy crap. That is to me, it feels like such a what's the right word? A trite kind of a purpose that Hollywood has made for us, that we have to have some grand life purpose.
I don't think that's the case at all.
Just be happy with what you have. It's possible to retire and be very, very content with your life and not necessarily have a thing that makes you get up at 6 a.m. every day and solve problems for orphanages.
Don't need the rise and grind.
Yeah. It is so possible to be content and happy with what you have and what you've already built out of your life without having some major second or third chapter.
It is interesting to see what the research says on that and then to get Doug's take, because the research suggests
you jerk.
Shot fired. They're so backhanded.
I'm just
Let's
telling
see
you
how Doug's wrong.
I have over the past 3 years really dug into this, and the research says something completely different. So it's fine that it doesn't sit well with you. Because listen, I think that on
it
one
could be
hand,
that the researchers are only researching people that have a bias toward having this grandiose
Yeah, they didn't ask
thing.
you, Doug. They didn't ask you at all.
And the research doesn't say 100% of the people need this. I just don't want people who don't
research
need
never
that
says
to get
100%
depressed
of
when they
people
don't
need
have
it. But you're wait a minute, OG. But part of the thing, Doug, is that you're trivializing a big piece of what is really important that people are solving for incorrectly. You're saying be happy, right? I think, and this came through when we had Benjamin Brandt on the show, and he was talking about kind of Len singing off the same song sheet you and OG were singing off earlier, which is even bad data is good data. Like finding out stuff that you don't like ahead of time before you get to retirement is great data. It's not a failed trip when you go to Florida to investigate the retirement community you think you like, and it sucks. That's phenomenal data, and it's not a waste of time. So figuring out what makes you happy, I think there's a huge portion of America and maybe of the world that waits to age 65 to figure out what makes me happy.
But if you're not happy in Wisconsin, or maybe more accurately, if you're not happy in Ohio, you're not going to be happy in Arizona or Florida or anywhere else. So I'm just saying, let's not put pressure on ourselves to find some externality, to find some thing to do, some place to be that's going to make us happy. Don't put that pressure on yourself in retirement.
No, but that's 100% the point that Bill brings up here. Is you've got this optimization that we're all searching for, and Bill says that ain't it. I mean, that's exactly, I think, Len, what you're talking about too.
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. To me, it's not wasting time. So anything that when you're not wasting time as you get older is great. So if you're sitting there and doing whatever you're doing, you don't think you're wasting your time and you're enjoying what you're doing, you're successful in retirement. The key is a lot of people don't know what they aren't going to like.
100%.
What's not going to satisfy them in retirement. Like golf, for example. I used to love golf. It fell out of favor with me in the last few years. It's just something that I didn't lose. So if I was thinking of golf filling a hole in my retirement life, that's gone. That peg that would fill that hole in my retirement is no longer working.
After playing golf with Doug several times, I would have thought that would have fallen out of favor for him too, but he still goes back to that well. He just loves the beating.
Man, I am taking a whooping today.
I think this is why Doc G calls it little P purpose, you know, not the big P purpose. Well, I think, Doug, part of this doesn't sit well with me is the fact that you're taking all this body of research and kind of trivializing it because maybe you've already solved for that. But I'll tell you, the research suggests a lot of people haven't done that. A lot of people haven't thought about it that way. They're too busy thinking about the money. They're too busy thinking about, I'm going to have these unicorns and effing rainbows when I get there. And, you know, you still show up. So start learning what your little P purpose is. So Susie's last piece on here is to find peace of mind, which is, I think, really where this video goes. And Len, I was very interested to get your take there. So that resonated with you.
It resonated.
I'll link to all these on our show notes pages, stackingbenjamins.com. Doug, let's go to you, man, in the back porch. What is going on in this Stacking Benjamins community? It's crazy.
Joe, I want to put a little bit more highlight and focus, a spotlight, as it were, on the articulate apricot who chose to have a little celebration with all the rest of the basement dwellers.
Apricot?
A couple of weeks ago.
Kind of like apricots.
Apricot?
Apricots.
How's he an apricot?
I don't know. He's owning this. I don't know if this is a handle that Facebook gave him, but he's the articulate apricot.
This was his handle. I thought you were calling him an articulate apricot. I want to focus on this articulate apricot, who I'm friends with in the basement.
I know the cunning kumquat.
He just had one of those, holy cow, check this out. And he decided to share it with the rest of the basement when he or she, I don't know if there's a gender for an apricot, noticed that today they were a millionaire. Like,
that's great.
This thing happened. And he posted a little screenshot of their net worth at just over $1 million. And I just think that's great to celebrate the wins with the basement. That's pretty fun. So congratulations, apricot.
Well, and that's not the kind of win that you can share like with your friends at lunch. You know what I mean? But hey, guess what happened to me today? I got to a 7-figure net worth. Like it isn't going to go
way into work.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't usually, but when you're hiding behind this dark, mysterious moniker of the articulate apricot, you can say whatever the hell you want.
Well, and I also think though, being in a community that's a community like the Stacker community, I mean, that's what everybody's trying to do. So it's fantastic. Len, do you remember the day that you got to 7 figures?
I'm still trying to get there, Joe.
He's at 4. He's like, once I get past 4,
it's nearing it any day now.
That's what we call Coast Fi at the Penzo house. Guess what? We can take out $12 a month for the rest of our life. You do remember?
Oh, you're still waiting for more.
I was. I thought you were.
Yes, I do remember. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. Unfortunately for me, it was like, well, that's good, but it's not going to be enough. So you got to keep going. And that's the biggest realization. And $1 million's a great number. That's fantastic. But at least for me, that I was like, nope, I got a long way to go if I want to get to where I want to be. Congratulations, by the way. That's fantastic.
It is so fantastic. What were some of the comments, Doug?
Well, lots of congratulations, as you might expect. And in fact, Jamie said financial milestones can be hard to celebrate with family and friends since most of us don't discuss it respectfully. But I'm here to say huge congrats. Way to go. Hope you do a little something for yourself to celebrate. And yeah, you're right, Joe. It's weird. You can discuss that with strangers more easily than you can with friends and family because it just somehow comes off wrong because of the stigma attached to it.
Are there other things in your life where you can discuss it more with strangers than with friends besides money?
Certain rashes in certain locations on your body. That's fun to do on Reddit.
Do you guys know the number? I thought I read somewhere that only like 2% or 1% of Americans even have a net worth of $1 million. I mean, it really is a excellent milestone to reach. So you're in rarefied air for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, gee, you might know that number offhand. Do you know that? Percentage of people with $1 million?
My friend ChatGPT will.
ChatGPT is going to say, what an excellent question. I've never had a better question. You're brilliant for asking this.
I'm pretty sure I read is 2% or 1%.
I can tell you that approximately 70% of Americans have a positive net worth. So at least $1 positive net worth. 12% have a net worth over $1 million, according to a 2022 survey by the Federal Reserve.
Excluding primary residence is the 2 to 2.5% that you said.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
there we go.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That is a big thing, and I love that we're able to pause and help you celebrate that. What is it? Delicious apricot? Intelligent apricot?
Articulate, Joe.
Articulate.
Try it sometime.
Something I am not, apparently. Articulate. We are talking money all across the United States. I'm going to be in Seattle coming up the first weekend of March. I'm going to be meeting up with our Stacker community there to join our meetup group in Seattle, stackingbenjamins.com/bad, which is our Benjamins After Dark meetup group. We also have groups in Boston, in the Twin Cities, in Mankato, and Tucson got together. Doug, you see that?
Finally did. Yep, they had a great night at Top Golf, and I'm sure there is more great stuff waiting for them. Maybe they'll go over to the Desert Museum, greatest museum in the United States.
It 100% is the best museum in the U.S. That museum, the Desert Sonora Museum.
Yep. That's top shelf stuff.
That is my favorite museum. I'm not kidding.
No, I know it. It is. It's probably mine as well. It's the best blend of feeling like you're out in nature, but also it's a little bit of a zoo. It's also a museum about the geology of the area. It's a little bit of everything, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous setting. It's the only thing better than the Henry Ford Greenfield Village in Detroit is that.
This weird hybrid between zoo and museum. Yeah, super. Len, have you been there before?
No, I haven't. I've been to Tucson, but I haven't been to the museum. I'll have to check it out.
It's fantastic. But I can't wait to see Tucson, which you guys are going to do.
I haven't been there either, Joe.
OG, have you been there?
I've been to Tucson. I haven't been to the zoo. I'll have to check it out.
Well, I heard that recently from somebody else. Mr. Penzo, thanks for hanging out with us today, man.
It's great to be back. Thank you for having me.
Well, we are definitely going to be hearing a lot more from Mr. Penzo over the next few months, so can't wait for those appearances.
So don't get his keys back? Let him keep them? So?
I think we can let him keep the keys.
Thank you.
Ma, we don't have to change the locks. Never mind. Cancel the locksmith.
By the way, Len, I also saw some of our stackers buying your new book.
So thank you all for buying it. I appreciate it. It's True Money Stories. You can find it at Amazon.com.
True Money Stories, put in Len Penzo, and you get all kinds of crazy money stories that all start with, by the way, I can't believe this happened to me.
Yeah, right.
This never happens to me.
Never.
All right, that's going to do it for today. Doug, you got it from here, man. What should we have learned on today's show?
What should we have learned today? First, take some advice from Suze Orman's new take, and maybe our original one. Solving for retirement, you don't need to accumulate big bucks or work forever, but you do need a plan and to strategize how your pile of assets and your government benefits will work together to create the best outcome. That's the key to winning. Second, investments, those are important, but your time, now that's invaluable. And today's big lesson? I love today's trivia question about Gutenberg's Bible. Hope you did too. But I wish he would have written a book about mountains because I find those to be cliffhangers. I'll just show myself out. Thanks to the amazing Len Penzo for sharing his expertise with us today. You'll find Len's unique takes on life at his website, lenpenzo.com. This show is the property of SB Podcast, LLC, copyright 2026, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. And oh yeah, before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
You know what everybody's wondering? Do you spend your day tomorrow making the crazy squirrels do crazy things up behind the house? Is that how the Penzos spend?
Well, let me since we're talking about the squirrels, and then here's something we were talking, and I'll tie this in with our retirement discussion. One thing that I did not model in my retirement was all the money I'm spending on these damn squirrels and other animals in I've got the wife feeds the squirrels. I bet you we spend $40 a month on nuts for these squirrels. And she also does hummingbirds. So we have the hummingbird feeders, and we're going through 10 pounds of sugar every month. 10 pounds is right now feeding the hummingbirds. So that's an expense that I've had that I never planned for. So $50-$60 for squirrels and hummingbirds, and then you got the dog who's he's on these special plans now where they have these bark boxes and stuff where you don't just buy dog food for a dog anymore. You buy the toys in the box that comes every month. You subscribe. There's another $40 a
really?
month. Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
So there's $100 just for my dog, the hummingbirds, and the squirrels every month.
There is a special dog toy subscription service.
Yes, dog toys with treats too. It's like there's a couple companies. Chewy, I think, has one. Bark, I think the company's Bark. So I think we get
Bark Box. Yep,
Bark Box. So we're getting Bark Boxes, and let me tell you, it's great. It's a great service if you can afford to do it. It's funny. The dog gets like 3 toys or 2 toys every month, and then he gets some treats, bags of treats, and he looks forward to it. So the dog knows. He knows when the box comes, and he gets all excited for it. What a business model. Whoever thought of that? Because they've got a lot of this. Paying $30-$40 a month.
Well, yeah, I've known Doug for a long time. There's no way in hell Doug is doing a subscription with his dogs.
Nope, I'm not. We have 2 dogs. I've had 2 dogs for like almost 20 years now or something. And no, we're not. We've got regular subscription orders from Amazon. The dog dinos are inbound on the weekly, and they shred them, and Mrs. Neighbor just keeps on buying more. But I'm not doing a subscription service. No way in hell.
Speaking of subscriptions, did your parents do subscriptions for you when you were kids? Did you have any subscriptions where stuff would come to the house when you were a kid?
My dad had a subscription when I was a kid, but I wasn't allowed to see it.
It's a whole different
I had
thing.
National Geographic. My parents got me National Geographic subscription.
Well, I got Highlights magazine. Did you guys get Highlights?
Yes,
No?
Highlights too. That was a great magazine. I loved Highlights. Yes.
I was so excited, man, every month when Highlights would show up.
So fun. They still have Highlights magazine? That was a great magazine.
I saw a Highlights magazine at Target, but it wasn't the normal magazine. It was like one of those one-off things, like just what all your letters or numbers were. And it surprised me because I haven't seen Highlights in forever. But that was great. We got Ranger Rick. Did you get Ranger Rick?
That was, look, I was a nerd, and even I didn't get Ranger Rick. I didn't want to be caught with Ranger Rick.
We got National Geographic World, which was for kids.
For kids, right.
Yeah, it was basically Nat Geo for kids. But I got World Magazine. I loved it. Loved that magazine. Joe, here's an answer to your question. Yes, Highlights magazine is still published. It has been in circulation since 1946.
Yeah.
46.
That's a great magazine for kids. Yes.
Great stuff. Well, and now we just taught you parents how to spend money in so many different ways.
This all started with learning about how much Len spends on his nuts. And somehow we got onto kids' magazines.
I was curious when he went into subscriptions, but happy birthday, Mr. Penzo.
Yes, and happy birthday to you, Mr. Joe.